There was a commercial airliner flying at 34,000 feet, a plane full of passengers. All of a sudden, the plane started to lose its balance and shifted radically to the left and radically to the right and back to the left. At exactly the same time, the plane hit an air pocket and dropped about 10,000 feet in just a couple seconds. And all the passengers started to scream for their lives. All the passengers except one. One little girl sitting there in the seat, reading a little book, never budged, just kept reading a book. The pilot gets onto the intercom and he tells the passengers that they're making an emergency landing at the nearest airport, which is about 20 minutes away, just to remain calm. But all the passengers kept screaming, all except this little girl reading her book. Finally, the plane landed safely, and the passenger getting off. And one passenger walked up to the little girl and said to her, "You're amazing. You never screamed once. You just kept reading your book. How did you remain so calm?" The little girl said this, "The pilot is my dad. In my entire life, I could always depend upon my dad, rely upon my dad, and knowing that he was the pilot, I wasn't worried in the least." You see, that's an important quality in life. An important quality in life is to be dependable and reliable. And I ask that you have in family members and in friends, if you can rely on your family, rely on your friends. You realize that if I need something, I can call one of my family members or I can call a friend and they will come through for me. I don't have to worry. That's the key point of today's gospel reading coming out of the 21st chapter of Matthew, verses 28 to 34. And what we want to look at this morning is verse 29 and 30, 24th chapter of Matthew. Let's take a look. Now it says, and it asks this question, this is right in the gospel itself. What is your opinion? A man had two sons. He came to the first and said, "Son, go out and work in the vineyard today." He said in reply, "I will not," but afterwards changed his mind and went. The man came to the other son and gave him the same order. He said in reply, "Yes, sir," but did not go. Which of the two sons did his father's will? Now, what I'm going to ask you to do this evening, and I'm not going to say anything, but I want you to look at those two verses, 29 and 30, study those two verses, and try to determine which son did the father's will. So I'm going to do my best to remain quiet for 30 seconds as you study those two verses, which son did the will of the Father? Okay, pencils down. Now you had 30 full seconds to try to figure out which son did the will of the Father. Now we're going to put up the possible answer to the question, and let's take a look at this. Which of the two sons did the Father's will? There's A, the son who said, "I will not go into the vineyard and work," and later changed his mind and went. B, the son who said, "I will go into the vineyard to work," and then decided not to go. C, none of the above. Now, by show of hands, how many think it's the son A? How many think he did the will of the Father? Okay, a lot of you. How many people think B did the will of the Father? Okay, no one. How many think the answer is C, none of the above? And the answer is, you can philosophize about this all night long, but the truth of the matter is, it is C. Now, we give a little bit of latitude to the son who said, "No, I'm not going to go," and changed his mind and went, because at least he went out there. But what was the dad looking for? What did he want from his sons? These are grown men. The father wanted what? The truth. I want to depend upon my sons. I want to rely on my sons. The father was saying to himself, look, the son who said he's going, I know that that's what he's going to do. And the son, he said he's not going to go work in the field. I don't like the answer, but I know this much. that's what he's going to do. He's not going to go out and work in a field. But they both changed their mind. Every so often when I talk to someone who's confined to their homes and we're having a nice conversation, something very similar comes up. I hear this every so often. As I said, a mom or a dad who's confined to the house will tell me that they have a doctor's appointment on Friday. And they have 2 kids. They ask, would they take them to the appointment? And a lot of times I will hear the response by this mother or father say, I don't know, my one child said they're going to come and pick me up. The other one said they can't. But they always change their mind. I have no idea. So I have a backup plan. I ask my neighbor, look, if one of my kids don't show up, will you do it? All the dad was looking for was this. I want to be able to depend upon and rely upon my sons. So their word is gold. How important that is in life. That's an asset if you're lucky enough to have a family member or a friend. When you ask them a question, can you take me here or do this for me? And they say yes, you know it's yes. They're not going to call you up moments before it's time to take you somewhere and say, I can't now. You don't have to worry about it. And if you got a family member on this particular occasion where they say, I just can't do it, then you know they're not going to do it. They're not going to show up. Then you got to look for an alternative. You know, that little girl in that plane, as it was wobbling and dropped from an air pocket and everyone screaming for their life, and she remained calm, kept reading her book. When she was asked the question, how did you remain so calm? She gave the most powerful of all answers. She said, my dad is the pilot. But more importantly than that, in my entire life, I could always depend upon and rely upon my dad. Therefore, I wasn't worried. What a gift. That's a gift that this father in today's gospel reading did not have. Because he could not depend upon, he could not rely upon his sons, because they ultimately would say one thing and do the opposite.